right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. It's a Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the 88th episode of Let's Do Lunch. Today, since it is Tuesday, is our Future of Entertainment Day. We have a terrific show. I'll introduce our guests here in just a moment. But first, as a reminder, our chat is open, so please introduce yourselves in the chat. And when you do that, make sure to change the drop down from all panelists to all panelists and attendees so that everybody gets the pleasure of seeing your posts and it doesn't just go to the panelists. Also, if you have questions for the panelists, please drop them into the Q&A area, which is just the left of the chat. And I know that David will take questions throughout the panel today. All right, let me introduce the amazing, incredible David Bloom. David, senior contributor at Forbes, coming on the show with us again today.
Yay, yay, yay. Hey, everybody. I can't beat an introduction like that, though. The guy we're talking with today is even cooler. I mean, his name is Chris Sawtelle. He's got one of those Hollywood sort of vague titles, Head of Digital Ventures. And Chris, you get to turn off your mute button and turn on your video so we can see your smiling face. Enjoy. There he is. He does not have benefit of, he is the king of digital at ICM, but has chosen not to wear his tiara, as you do when you're out among the hoi polloi in the virtual universe. I want to encourage everybody, hop on to the chat room, stir it up. Put up your name and your company and what you're looking for, and most of all, put your LinkedIn profile in there so people can connect in a sort of, that's the only way we can exchange business cards here. So do that, liven it up. If you got questions, throw them in Q&A, and I'll try and work them into the conversation in a more or less organic fashion as best I can. Nice to see a couple of regulars like Simon Applebaum and Ann Toole, but everybody else join in too, and let's get this thing a-rolling. So Chris, first of all the talent agencies in town have sort of figured out that this digital entertainment thing might actually be big at some point. And they have now people kind of like doing what you do. But I think there's different flavors from shop to shop. So ICM, one of the big four, I guess we're down to four now, right? And you're one of the big four. You're in the building that I used to be in when I was at MGM. Tell me, tell this fine assemblage, what digital ventures does ICM do that you head as king of digital?
Yeah, by all means. So what we're doing, our digital department is strictly focused primarily on talent that have strong social media followings. We understand creators that have built strong audiences by way of social. And as they become or are thought leaders in their space, figuring out ways in which we can monetize throughout all verticals, whether it be in traditional Hollywood or a direct-to-consumer biz dev relationship. So I would say we are the first point of entry into the agency, and can be the RA for a talent, and then help bolster them out or bring them to the rest of the agency. Very much like a manager of sorts at the company, making sure that we're really there hand in hand, bringing them to each department.
But you're a little bit like, I mean, this is somewhat of a extended metaphor, a little bit like the guy hanging out at the soda counter in Hollywood and sees Lana Turner at the other end and says, "Hey, you could be a movie star." I mean, you're doing that though in the digital space.
I'd like to say that that's true, because I'd love.
Because you like malteds, right? You're a big
I love soda. No, to be honest with you, I think that they're, not to cut you off, David, I apologize, but I think
cut me off. I have it coming.
It's important to say there are people that do that, and I think that there are people that are doing that are not in digital departments. The difficulty here as it relates to this space is that people don't. At the end of the day, yes, there are times where you take bets, the same way in which you take a bet on an actor or an actress. But what isn't a bet, or I would like to say that I've gotten very good at, is talent rise to the top. And what I'm not looking for, and if you look at our roster and what we're building, it's not just like looking and saying, hey, I'm trying to sign a pretty face and build them out to be the next Brad Pitt. what we're looking to do when we ever bring anyone on in the digital department, both at the agency, but at the digital department specifically, is focusing in on what is the bigger emphasis or brand that is being built. And by brand, I mean, what is the brand identity for you as a forward-facing person on social media? You mentioned Lana Condor. Lana's fantastic.
It was actually Lana Turner, but Lana Condor, a fantastic person to use as an example.
Oh God, like a great agent, just listening to every other word.
Right. And you got the first word, and that led you to the second word, which is actually great because she's like one of your biggest stars, right?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, Chuck James and Celestine Au brought her in. Lana is fantastic and is someone that obviously off.
Of course, she's fantastic. You're a talent agent. You have
yeah.
to say
Well, I mean, listen. You know what? I think that I would navigate around not talking about certain people if they just were not the most fun people to enjoy. I'd say Lana is someone that brings everyone to the party and brings everyone along with her, and really trusts her team to help shepherd, shepherd thought starters and when building out that brand. So I would say with Lana, that's someone that traditionally was focused on as an actress and building out that brand. And what we did with her is we focused on why should she be focusing on her relationship with the community, and specifically that community being, relatively the age of the 14 to 24-year-old female skewing demographic, right? On Instagram, she was already having a very thriving audience where people watched To All the Boys. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
She became a meme, basically, right? I mean, that movie on Netflix was hugely popular. Now they've done two or
they've done two, and then the third is coming out. The third is coming out, I believe, this fall.
Right, that's right. The third one's coming. That's what it was. Yeah. So that's clearly become a franchise for Netflix. Not a bad thing, but it's a whole nother universe because now you're a star on a streaming hit, and we don't even know what that really means. But she does show up in memes online, whether she's posting or not. There are people posting about her, right? So that's part of her universe of conversation around her and fan base. So how did you guys take that? You said she had some of her own personal Instagram presence already. What did you do to build that out, and where did you go? What platforms did you go to?
Yeah, so great question. So I would say with Lana, I think the idea is that this is someone that both when you're watching a movie like To All the Boys, most people realistically are putting themselves, they're putting themselves in the role of the protagonist. They're feeling, that's the beauty of watching a movie. We escape and kind of put ourselves within that universe as we experience it. I think with Lana, she is every girl. She is that. It's kind of like a throwback to Molly Ringwald back in 16 Candles. We thought about, okay, who is Lana as an individual outside of this persona as her character in the film, but also what does she love to do that she can, not only just be a part of, how can she start participating in this memedom and bring her own be a part of the conversation versus fans just talking at her and putting her on a pedestal. I think that that's where we are now more than ever, is that people don't want to put the audiences don't want to put celebrities on pedestals. They want to feel like, fans and audiences believe that they rightfully so have earned the right. They're the support system for that person's success. And we like to make sure that our celebrities or our talent are grateful for that help, but also giving back and participating in the conversation. So anyway, long story short, with Lana, we focused on, that 14 to 24-year-old demographic. What does that person like to do? Whether it be cooking, makeup, she's very much like an advocate in politics, and she, wanted to get back to her roots and discover, go find her real parents because she was adopted. Like, we leaned into those verticals and those storylines. Real storylines, but leaned into them and used them as unscripted documentation through social media that fans could feel like they got almost like a behind the scenes of sorts for what was going on.
That's a really interesting strategy because I think it is so different. I mean, this is a very different use case, as it were, from the YouTube star who laboriously builds up 1 million followers, 2 million, whatever it is, and then Hollywood goes, oh, let's put you in a late night show, or let's put you in a movie, or what. She was an actress who had success, and that created a plume, a contrail of online notice and conversation that you're like, okay, how do we take part in that and build on that? Because it turns out that the human playing that role is different from the role. She
Yeah.
may not be wildly different, but she probably is. She's probably got other things that she's into, like trying to find her mom, her birth mother. So you're kind of doing, you mentioned this a little bit like a reality show almost. It's like, okay, we've got this actress star. We're gonna do with her what not quite what the Kardashians are, but somebody who is an actress who also has a real life, and we're gonna talk about those specific components of her life that become their own narrative through line, right? That's part of what you're going to be doing. That's a really interesting approach. And now, are you doing that routinely with people similarly situated who are among your client base?
Absolutely. So, I mean, the Try Guys, who are, someone I've been with now for several years, and I started out as their managers.
Long before ICM.
Long before ICM, that's right. When I was at Anonymous Content, that's a perfect example of a brand that was built while they were, 4 individuals at BuzzFeed. This was a brand specifically on the importance of trying. It's this idea of
do something great, try, but do something great.
That's right. And so they really coined that feeling or that idea of trying. And we took that brand, and when they left BuzzFeed, they saw the value. They launched their own YouTube channel on our own. That in the matter of first month, that ended up, because the brand was so strong. Again, yes, we had the help because they had already grown at BuzzFeed in that notoriety and that recognition. But they grew to 4.6 million in a matter of 4 weeks, and now we're at 7.4. Anyway, point being is we started back again with videos of trying, fun, comical, trying moments, but with the impetus of self-improvement or self-betterment.
So what you're saying is, if you just try to make a video, you can start to build a video audience.
I've learned that's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm definitely telling myself that more and more. I mean, I should definitely be doing more of it, but I'm too busy working for all my other clients. So
I know, the cobbler's children. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But I mean, listen, that math and that relationship with the audience, and the idea of actually providing a service or providing that feeling or arithmetic, so to speak, for an audience to learn to try and feel motivated to do something. We then sold a book. That book became a New York Times #1 bestseller, and we're very proud of that. We then went on tour to bring that brand recognition, to communicate with audiences, do signings of the book, but also have fan engagement and relate. We did some fun stunty moments where, similar to like the content that some of the guys did, Keith, who did like this amazing moment of eating chicken nuggets all together. We stopped the entire event, or the entire one of the days of the tour, actually did documentation by way of social media, and he pushed that out as like a moment that was solely for the fans at that one performance. And so we're really just building.
These are obviously things you did before about March 12th, right?
Absolutely. No, of course. Yes. This was just last year. And now with that same feeling, we've now created 2 amazing product lines, both again that come from their passions. Keith launched a hot sauce named Chicken Sauce because of his love for food and the content that he puts out to the community, where he does an eat the menu of sorts, where it's eating the menu of fast food.
Wow. If you eat the whole menu, you really do like food.
No. It is literally,
is he able to walk?
Yeah.
Just saying. Not a lot of exercise going on there.
We have talked about the documentation. What he ends up doing is that the food is eaten by the entire company. We we cut portions of it so that he can try the actual menu and review it. and none of the food goes to waste. It's always documented in the videos. We make sure that everyone sees where it goes. But the hot sauce launched first day we launched. We sold 20,000 units. We sold out. We wish we did more. Meaning like we wish that we had ordered more because people were ordering so much.
But was this like a habanero hot sauce or like a ghost pepper hot sauce or just like a sort of a
no. It's actually so Keith's tongue actually is very reactive to hot sauce. I'm blanking.
So it was
on
black pepper, right? That was
absolutely. No, we did. It was like a balsamic. Mixture. You know what? I'll send you a bottle, David. It's fantastic.
Okay. I got some hot hatch chili pepper powder yesterday. My spouse is enraged at me for sneaking it into the grocery thing, but I can't wait to put it on things. So I like it. Some like it hot. Me and Marilyn Monroe.
I love that movie. Jack Lemmon's fantastic. And no, it's a not so hot sauce. I'm with you. It's a not so hot sauce.
It's a mild hot sauce.
And we also are. I'll just shameless plug. We're launching a burger sauce in the coming month. So I'll send you that one as well. Okay, yeah, cool. We're doing a full set. But then
I'm feeling pretty saucy, but that's great. So that's a way that you all extend the brand into things that feel natural to a particular, and it's not even the whole Try Guys, it's the one Try Guy.
And the benefit there is it's building out the universe of the Try. It's literally the same.
The Tryverse, as we like to call it.
Yes, it's no different than this. We're applying the same math that the Russos put to Marvel. I know that sounds ridiculous to say.
No,
all we're talking about
this is their cinematic universe or their narrative universe, right? That's the way to think about it. Is really the Try Guys narrative universe, TGNU.
You know what? We should coin it. I'll trademark it now.
It's all yours. I give so much good stuff away. It's all I can say. But that's interesting. So that's really the sort of approach that you guys have in that franchise building around individuals, which is sort of happening anyway. But this just feels like you can do that with somebody who's got an online presence and a direct connection to fans, right? It's not like, I think it's harder to do that with somebody who's a traditional film or TV star who doesn't really have that online connection, right? I mean, you really need to have more, though we see, Ryan Reynolds selling his aviation gin company for $600 million and Clooney selling his Casamigos tequila for $1 billion. So clearly they figured out some of the brand extension
companies
stuff
built
too.
On influencer marketing, I'll just say.
Yeah, there you go. And booze.
And booze. But again, like Clooney not so much, but Ryan very much was a part of the conversation with the audience, right? I mean, the idea that like The Rock just launched Terramana, and if you look at the marketing strategies that are going out, I mean, it's very much each time, if any celebrity is doing something like this, or any, let's say, creator at this point, because the lines are blurring. We're now seeing ad spends being battled between broadcast and
it's blurrier than my vision without my glasses. I mean, that's blurry. So yes, it's smeared everywhere, right?
But as those lines blur more, I mean, like look at what just happened. There was the CA Exodus Moxie that just got created.
Well, yeah, Simon Applebaum was just asking about Moxie and these talent launches and all that. What did he ask? Simon asks, he has a long question. Are we going to see more of these, more like what you're just talking about, where the CAA agents left? I mean, it's obviously an interesting time for the talent agencies with the Writers Guild fight and all that. Are we going to see more of these sort of what's the plural of an exodus? An exodi? Are we going to see more exodi in the future? What do you think?
Hot take. I wouldn't be surprised. What I will say is this: is like, I think that traditional Hollywood sees that exodus occur and goes, "What is going on?" But like, if I'm being really transparent, every single digital department or every single individual from like that works in digital is when they saw that moment and saw that deck, they're going, "This has been the math that we've been talking about the entire time, and we're already doing it."
Right.
So
finally, somebody figured it out. It's like, oh, we should do a business with this, right?
Yeah. I think it has been talked about widely, and Pete Michelli is very smart and has been in this business for a very long time. All of those agents are very good at what they do. I think the question is going to be specifically for traditional talent or traditional representatives in those shoes. I would say, their skill set, for lack of a better term, some of them, not all of them, have been to read scripts, find the best project for your talent, and build them out at studios in film and television.
That's the traditional.
That's
history.
the traditional, right? And to build the brand. What happens when your representative starts saying, hey, I want to be I would love to start a company with you, and let's launch this, and I'll help build it with you. And then you ask, okay, well, what are your qualifications? Now they're passionate. That's going to be the question. I think that we're fortunate.
But it's not that different from a management agency. Like the management agency has been doing that for years, right? I mean, it's like,
but they
can do everything, right?
They're just bringing capital. Yeah, right. That's a great point. I would say, I think that managers, yes, there's nothing different there. I'm just saying that in these specific role relationships, right, I'd be interested to know how that navigation happens, because in those situations you have huge teams around these people. Margot Robbie, if you look at that entire roster, those are huge names. So then the question is there enough room for that person to really come in and say, hey, I want to be your business partner in this situation? And what is it? And I think a lot of the time what we'll see now is that capital is going to be thrown at these talents or creators to say, hey, what are your dreams and wishes? And they're just going to be trying to buy in to the business itself to jumpstart it, because right, they see the value of the audience that they'll be able to garner.
Now, somebody who does not have the courage or of their convictions, or at least of their naming rights, I guess apparently haven't been sold. Anonymous attendee asks, Chris Sawtelle, are you related to Sawtelle Boulevard? Which is, by the way, a great place to find Japanese food on the west side of LA, whatever's left of Sawtelle Boulevard. But is that a family? I mean, you're from LA, right?
I am born and raised in LA. I wish I were to say that I was that cool. I do not know the heritage of the Sawtelle last name.
All right, look, dude, you're in Hollywood. You can say.
Yes,
we believe that there's a family legend that we're connected in some way, but we've never been able to figure it out. That's the way you finesse that. I'm just saying.
That's the next one. I'm stealing that from you, David. I appreciate
it. It's giving away the good material. But Mr. Anonymous or Ms. Anonymous, no name, as we prefer to call them, has a slightly more serious question, which is, if you're not such a big star as Lana Condor and can't quite persuade ICM or one of your competitors to rep you, how do you find the social media community builders to do this kind of work? They're also shamelessly asking for recommendations for anybody you would say, try them out.
You know what? Listen, I'm all I'm all for a shameless plug. If you want to email me, my email is out there in the world. Feel free to email me at csawtelle@icmpartners.com. I'll welcome it. I'll do it just this once. I'm not saying that I'm going to do anything.
Special offer for our viewers. Chris Sawtelle has offered to refer you
my inboxes. No, I didn't say refer. I said I'm happy to look at what you're talking about and give you suggestions. Whether I'll give you 10 minutes of my time. Not a big deal. No promises, but it's at least letting you know how to navigate it. I think that I also caveat it with this. Don't go looking for representation. Go build it. You need your agent. You need your talent. The people that you want to be representing you need to be chasing you. The biggest thing that I get frustrated with is that people come to LA and their whole thing is they try to be identified by, it feels good. It's a false sense of security to say, I'm represented by this agency or I'm represented by this management company, because they represent all these other people. But that's not putting money in your pocket.
Right.
The purpose is being represented by the person. I might be at ICM. All my talent sign with me. ICM empowers me to do that job, and they give me extra sets of tools and a network that I can pull from. But it's, go build it first. If you build it, they will come.
This is definitely the field of dreams in the digital universe. You've got to build it before they start playing ball.
No one handed me this title. I can tell you that much. I've been working on this.
They kind of did, but you had to do a lot before it was handed to you. So, Eric Mendelson asks multiple questions, but we'll start with this one. What platforms and metrics are you looking at to determine if a social media influencer is a right fit for ICM? So this is actually the question I should have asked before the other one, which is what makes a good fit? It's not just the Supreme Court justice talking about obscenity. It's I'll know it when I see it. What are there sort of semi-objective? Wow, that's pretty good numbers, or that's blowing up over here. I mean, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, I would say, listen, numbers are undeniable as it relates to commerce, because obviously you have leverage or the ability to say, hey, I received this amount of following. For me, I'm not signing people because of their numbers. I will strongly consider someone, or I will say I have to consider this or understand why the math is happening here and why this person's receiving these numbers. But it still goes back to me for brand. Julian Bass, who's someone that I am just enamored with, and gives me the ability to leverage all of my skill sets. It's someone that has like 100,000 on Instagram. Now he has a million plus on TikTok, but that brand is a filmmaker, fandom, or individual who's so enamored as a cinephile that he's celebrating his joy and love, and that in itself is creating a brand. So we now have the capability to do any marketing tool for Sony, Universal. Hey, Netflix, come give us a call. We just did something for Amazon The Voice that's going to come, that's already posted out. You can see that. Like, we can celebrate any moment in film or television and promote it, get paid to do it, and showcase his skill set as a filmmaker. So anyway, the real question just being, where do I look? Each person has their own brand. What they identify or what works for them as a clientele basis. I would say TikTok and Instagram and YouTube are the key monikers right now of like where people are building their businesses and focusing on building audience. I'm sure that that's where I put my time and my focus.
Okay. This has been a really interesting time for what I'd like to call direct to fan kinds of things, and some controversy too. It's really been an interesting time. Bella Thorne blew up 2 million followers on OnlyFans, and then there was blowback about the way she handled it, and was she doing it with Sean Baker, who made that wonderful iPhone-based movie Tangerine and some other stuff, and was she doing it with him? And he said no. And then particularly black sex workers who've been making a living on OnlyFans saying that, the white girl's blowing it, is making a mess of this place. And so it's been an interesting time. But on a bigger level, Cameo, OnlyFans, some of these are what I call direct to, like a one-on-one relationship, not even a one-to-many relationship like a YouTube or a TikTok, but a one-on-one relationship, or what feels like a much more direct relationship. Do you see that as a big opportunity, or sort of off to the side? How do you evolve and evaluate that new stuff? I mean, there's some serious money floating around.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, I think OnlyFans, if we're addressing OnlyFans, I would say there is nothing different from OnlyFans and Patreon or Twitch, right? The models in which those are, that's a subscription model. It's no different than Netflix. If anything, the talent is actually being able to be the one to say, hey, subscribe to me.
Right.
But that's the beauty there. Now, OnlyFans, there happens to be a type of content that is distributed there. And, say no more, maybe that's why that amount of money is being leveraged, given the fact that, controversy aside, I don't need to go address that because it's totally not part of what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that, like, Patreon was doing this before OnlyFans, right? TikTok and Instagram, and I've already seen what Twitch has as well as YouTube have seen what Twitch's donation group has already been able to do. And so, like, the fact that fans are able to donate $5 here, $10 there to the creator of the content when doing a walkthrough of a video game or being able to be on TikTok, like, that's something that will continue to happen. I mean, those are live activations. I think what will be interesting is, if brands want to activate against those moments, or if brands start really looking at, I'm going to give a shameless plug to Burger King, even though that in itself is another big, dumpster fire of a situation. Burger King saw the power and value of these donations. I think brands will be smart about giving more power to creators more and more. Hopefully,
I didn't want to really think about the OnlyFans page for the Burger King. That's just a vision I need to erase from my mind as best
fair
I can.
enough. Fair enough. But I do think that that's not going away. Cameo, for example, I think people don't like as much because it really does feel like your talent is selling themselves
Right.
for a
Filthy
price point.
lucre.
It's just the way in which it's just the way in which it's delivered. It's almost like, hey, I'll do whatever you want. Just pay me $50, right?
Right. Yeah, you set a price on yourself, that's for sure, and it's not a big price.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I saw a spreadsheet of like the biggest grossing performers on Cameo are not necessarily household names. I mean, they were on the Steve Gutenbergs of the world, and bless Steve Gutenberg, who had a nice run on Police Academy 1 through 37. But I mean, it's guys like Steve Gutenberg who weren't exactly breakout stars who've made a couple $100,000 off of this. So
I'm going to make a strong prediction, or I'm going to just go with this and say it here. I wouldn't be surprised if, as this evolves, whether it be a new service or a new subscription base, there will be. I do strongly believe that I wouldn't be surprised if talent or creators, as they develop their own subscriptions, if I had the commerce, I'd probably do this. Build their own subscription for a talent, or the talent build their own subscription, just like a la Patreon. And as you built that out, if they owned that subscription, why not? There's nothing different than taking that and going and selling that subscription to Amazon or to another e-commerce site where you can make all your content there. I think Amazon has talked about their mandates and focusing in on how you can create content that also focuses in on merch sales or product sales.
Well, yeah, I actually wrote about this recently that they've got live streamers selling stuff on Amazon, and it's okay. It's kind of you go on the Amazon site, and it's like, speaking of going to the real Amazon and going up in the jungle somewhere, and eventually find this tribe of e-commerce live streamers tucked away in some tributary of the Amazon. But like in China, live streamed e-commerce is a gigantic business. The piece that I saw put the totals at something like $69 billion in e-commerce this year. This woman who's the biggest streamer there, of course, Kim Kardashian, went over there and sold some perfume in a 2-hour period where they had sold out, and boom, in seconds sold her perfume. But it's a gigantic business, and they're saying it's going to go over 100 billion. It's like, okay, so that's huge in China, and I get China tends to be way ahead in some places, in some ways, particularly in the mobile side. But like, why isn't it really? It's not a thing here like it is there, but it should be. I'm surprised that it hasn't gotten purchased. There are people selling things. It's QVC meets Twitch. Seems like a natural.
That's exactly right. I think it's just because there's this wide gap between traditional and non-traditional currently happening, and when once that gap gets bridged, and it's going to happen. I mean, I think COVID has only forced that to happen. COVID has forced all walks of life, especially in media, to really understand the relationship of direct to consumer more than ever. So I'd like to think that happens in 2021. I think David, in 2021 it gets figured out, and we will see, whether it be Amazon activating on Twitch, there will be that QVC type offering that is content first.
Walmart, they just launched their new service today. Their new their Prime, it's not a Prime killer, but I don't know if we call it Prime or Dose or something. I mean, the Walmart Plus service launched. I don't know if they'll figure it out either, but they're certainly trying very hard after buying Jet and everything else. And they have an audience that's more QVC friendly.
But if they get TikTok, I mean, if that actually, again, listen, like
Who knows with TikTok? We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah,
Yeah.
TikTok, right? Sellable stuff on TikTok could go insane.
Yeah.
I mean, but the problem is, so the live streaming, what's interesting about it is they do like limited availability. So in the next 2 hours, you can buy, you know, this jewelry or that campfire stove or, you know, this shirt, and then it's gone. And so that imposes artificial scarcity on the thing, and allows it to force people to keep watching to see what the next deal is. I don't know if that's necessarily how it manifests over here or will.
I think it's just talent, though. Sorry, I think that just boils down to the talent. I mean, like they just haven't found the talent, or there hasn't been a talent that's actually agreed to do it yet.
Right.
The right
Who break through the
talent.
noise. So you're shockingly, a talent agent thinks it's the talent. Didn't see that coming. But a name who can break through the cloud of stuff and say, oh, I wonder what so-and-so is selling, or I like that person. I like hearing them talk, even if I don't want to buy that thing.
I'm not saying it's a celebrity, right? I just mean that, like, look at HQ. HQ was, you know, if anyone even recalls that game, right, or like that app moment, that was Scott Rogowski, and an amazing, cool format that no one had ever seen before. It was lightning in a bottle.
The trivia one, right? Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly right. And that
doesn't that seem like that was 400 years ago now?
It does.
You know, it's like, and they had a run that was like, that was the thing. They had 1 million people would log in twice a day to do trivia, and he was a hot thing. And now that feels like something on the Internet Archive. It's the only place it can be found.
I think the problem is that, you know, it just goes back to the gamification, right? Is that, like, all of this to some degree, when you talk about like buy now, buy before you lose out in 2 hours, you know, if you're not able to gamify like that, you know, HQ, the problem there was that people really started to feel like they never had the chance to win big. They didn't get there enough. There wasn't that adrenaline rush to, like, every single time you were failing every single time. So it was just like, okay, do I sign up or do I jump in to fail right now? You know? Right.
We've got a few more questions here. I'll try to get some of these before we run out of time. But again, I want to urge folks, put your LinkedIn and what you're looking for in the chat. Put questions in the Q&A. Make sure that you address things to all panelists and attendees in the chat so that everybody sees it instead of just busy me and thoughtful Chris. But just remember, you get to suck up to him, and if you send him something, he'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down in Caesarian method. Let's see, Judy Hawes, given this growing trend, do you see the potential, Judy Havas, I'm sorry, do you see the potential for backlash over saturation of these products, services, and in issues with consumers? I mean, you know, do we get too many hot sauces and, you know, best-selling books and games and all that stuff? I mean, how do you manage that?
I think that I don't think there's anything different that, like, listen, their New York Times #1 bestseller books have been coming around. Like, there's always a best-selling book. I mean, there's nothing different than it being done on social media versus going on any of the late night shows, right? And that has, you know, that goes all the way back to the day of, like, Johnny Carson. So
Steve Allen, really.
You know, there you go. So I would exactly. So I think, you know, that's just you're offering a product to an audience that actually wants to purchase it or wants to participate and interact with it. It's not the purchase, but the actual activation or being able to participate with the audience. You know, if you actually, you know, if your brand, or as an influencer, if your brand allots for it, you're almost owed to deliver on that to your audience. I think for us, you know, doing a hot sauce, that's an easy thing or an easy thought activation, because it's so comparable to food. It's a way to immediately interact with with the creator by way of food. So that's why we do that. But, you know, it's also like a marquee moment to, like, own and hold, and, like, you don't have to actually use the sauce. You can just keep it as, like, a, you know, there's always going to be another. It's almost like saying there's always going to be another toy. You know, when I was a kid, I was either buying Star Wars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's always another video game. You know, games, it's the same game mechanics. It's just a different shell. That's my
right. You know, what's the brand that you're invested in? In this case, the brand is a human as opposed to Teenage Reptile. or amphibian.
Yeah.
I guess they're reptiles.
And our job
But
is to create a sense of urgency for it.
yeah,
That's our job
yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah. Burke Marksity, who is a bit of a rapscallion, says he's very curious to hear about how Chris and team navigate the relationship between the influencers and not impeding on their brand with advertisers. This is the essential conflict when you start doing sponsored stuff, and how you manage that. And I guess to put more of a point on it, I'm curious how you all balance that out. For a long time, the complaint was that brands are like, no, we own this person. Now we've bought their audience, and they need to do it exactly this way, per the provisions of our contract, or the world will end. And I've been hearing a little more sophistication about that by at least some brands, understanding that these influencers are the keepers of their audience. It's their really the only valuable asset that they have, and they have a right to want to protect that audience and do stuff that's right for that audience. So
Yeah.
how do you all balance that?
I would say, fortunately enough, I've been in this a little bit long enough from, I admit it, like a trial and error process. You go, everyone in any business moment, you go in with good intentions, and sometimes things go to the wayside, or sometimes things don't work out the way in which you want. I think brands, I happen to know what, alongside all of my clients, what will work and what won't work. And if you can come to a compromise or come to a deal that ensures that the what we've brokered ensures that the creative concept is either mutually decided on, or mutual approvals is usually the way we like to go, because you want to make sure that both parties can celebrate together. But that's usually how we address it. That's how we know it. We've had too many times where brands say, hey, we want, it's creative assets. I think the biggest thing that we have to deal with on any given Sunday is the brand cries poor, and then next thing you know, it's spending $2 million in media spends against a brand, against it. And you're like, the benefit is that your client's out there in the marketplace, and people are now brought and made aware of who your talent is, right? That Super Bowl moment. But then you're also just like, they're cutting it up, they're piecing it together. You just need a good rep that needs to make sure, and you also need a client that is willing to say no. I think that's
an interesting point, because you don't necessarily see that. It's the deals you're willing to say no to that help shape your success, right?
Yes, very much so. I think that sometimes I am not in a grab and go business. And what I mean by that is, this isn't, let's collect 10K here, 5K there, $700,000 there, let's go. Like, that it always goes back to what the talent's needs are. It's not what mine are. I always recommend, I would rather pass on something. We're passing on something today with a talent, because we just don't have the time. And as much as we'd like to do something with the brand and they're offering a decent amount of money, it's just, the creative demands or the needs are so branded. I think you'll see more and more. If you're trying to sell, if anyone here is in the branded space and you're trying to sell to a 13 to 24-year-old demographic, or just generally anyone, the community is going to go, sell out, this is dumb. You want to be able to create great content that is just not so overtly, nailing you over the head with something. You don't want that Pepsi moment with the Kardashian, with Kendall Jenner, right? Is that who it is? You don't want that moment, where you think
that went well,
and you totally missed the buck. You want that moment where it's like, oh my God, I can't even, you want that afterthought moment where you go, wait, what? X brand did that? Like, that's the thing that you really, I think that's when you really get a great synergy or brand synergy. But also, it's like, if our client, for us, if our client's already wearing the clothes or wearing the thing,
right?
Usually that's how we do our outreach anyway. Is that we're just trying to say, like, why don't we make this a longer standing relationship?
So basically, you're shopping the closet. You're saying, like, let's go look and see what you've got in your closet. Oh, let's go talk to those guys, right?
I'm taking a page out of Run DMC's book,
Dude.
I want that Adidas deal, that was the smartest thing you could ever have done.
Yeah. Mad props to Run DMC. Apparently, they finally may have a couple of suspects in the murder of, was it Run, who was killed? Yeah. So thank goodness for that. But Maricel Tres Palacios, who I'm guessing may have a particular interest in this question. Is, can you talk about entertainment overseas and the opportunities? And really, this is the international opportunity for clients that you have. How well, I mean, Netflix is everywhere. So does Lana Condor, to all the boys. I mean, is she like big in South Africa and Bulgaria and Japan like she is in the United States? Or, I mean, how does that travel, and how do you all reach beyond these golden shores?
Yeah. There's absolutely success to be had across seas. I think it just depends on what market you're looking to capitalize on and what you're looking to do. I think the beauty with any of these social media, with any of these with any of these platforms, is that we have the analytics, so we know what an audience, what the appetite for a talent already is, and what it could be when looking to navigate, building a better relationship there. I think it really depends on, like, it's such a broad question. What is success? What are you looking to do in that market? Are we talking about success in film and television? Yeah, I mean, I think now more than ever, if you're looking to create film and television specifically post-COVID or whatever, like, I think we had Netflix Latin America is very focused on buying. I think there's been so much not co-viewing, but so much Spanish and English speaking properties where they'll start out in English and then switch it to Spanish, or vice versa. There was a comedy show, or there was a comedy Power Hour on Netflix that just came out with a comedian who did that, and it was very well reviewed and very well. The numbers are said to be very successful.
Sí, señor. I actually, yeah. I mean, Rich Hall, who runs VIX for Discovery, started out with a Spanish language telenovelas and other stuff, and has built that into a sort of a mini streaming empire now within the Discovery family. And there's certainly a big opportunity. You're right. They kind of cross back and forth between Spanish and English, and audiences are quite happy and growing in that space. We don't have much time left, so I'm going to ask you one big picture question. Looking forward a year and a half from now, what do you see? What does Hollywood look like? We've seen lots of changes in terms of the way people are consuming content on not just social, with TikTok taking off, and goodness knows what's going to happen with TikTok. And that can be part of your answer, but we see changes with people watching movies online as opposed to theaters, and the collapse of traditional cable and pay TV systems. What does Hollywood look like when the pandemic, we hope, is in a somewhat more controlled version? If it's not going back to what it was, what's it going to go to? Where's it head?
I'd like to think that depending on what not only viewing habits, but what our human habits are in 2021. Say the veil gets lifted and we're all open to be able to, like, go back to some level of normalcy in the summer, right? I think that brands now have enough information, or are equipped to understand the value of marketing distributed on social. Not only, I think that's the first thing that I think is going to really move. I think that brands that have been spending on broadcast are going to start pulling those spends even more so than they already have been, and focusing on how they redistribute that, whether that be primarily focusing on how to do activations in real life, or I think that's where I would first start. I think secondly, as the film units now focus more on maybe subgenre groups, and as we see Netflix and all of these other streamers trying to focus on more subscribers, I think that we'll see bigger spends towards influencer marketing, or towards people that are that guy or that girl or that demographic, to support subscription subscription. So we'll see. Like, they already did it with Disney Plus. Zach King is doing it, who's a fantastic VFX artist, who's promoted that. HBO Max has been doing it with a couple people. Julian Bass has done some content for Cartoon Network. I think that we'll see that that's only going to come out in stride. Discovery just did a show with David Dobrik. I think that's the biggest thing that I'd forecast. And then depending on when people go back to tour, I think every agency just starts touring like crazy and tries to do the biggest moments possible, a la the Olympics, because they're trying to recoup and make a demand or a need for people to go out into the world and have to build back that sense of habit and celebrate life, so to speak, out in the world.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Well, Chris, thank you so much for your time. I'm David Bloom. You can find me on Twitter at David Bloom and on LinkedIn at David L. Bloom. Chris, where can they find you? At Sawtelle at ICMpartners.com if
That's
they
right.
want to hit you up.
You can find me on Instagram at Chris Sawtelle or at Chris B. Sawtelle.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Back to you, Ned, to walk us out the door.
Great show, guys. And you will find me here tomorrow at noon because we have another great show tomorrow. Tomorrow is our Business of Games Day. We have Keisha Howard, founder of Sugar Gamers and head of marketing for Live CGI. And she'll be on with Chris Heatherly, games executive from Universal and Disney. Join us tomorrow, noon Pacific, folks. Have a great day. Stay safe.